please welcome Miss Libby Gill.
Get over it and get on with it. Now, what do you suppose that means? Well, if you can believe statistics, 53% of marriages will end in divorce. Half of us are dissatisfied with our jobs, which will change on average of every 5 years throughout our careers. And a whopping 70% of us, including an alarming number of children, are overweight. Sounds like we've got a lot of its to get over. And those its are different for every one of us, unless, of course, you are living the perfect life already. Raise your hand if you've got the perfect life right now. Nobody. Ah, there's one of you, yeah. And we know you're lying through your teeth, so put your hand down. Now, I'm here to talk about the issues, the its that are facing you. Maybe you're stuck in your career and you're dying to do more. Or maybe you're just desperate to keep up with your daily workload. Maybe your it has something to do with what's happening at home, your marriage, your health, your finances. Whatever it is, I'm here to give you a simple 3-step process so that you can face it, deal with it, and get over it. And then get on with having the kind of career and life that you really want, not the one you're settling for. And I'm going to start with the face it part of that process because, believe me, I have had a lot of face it moments in my career. One of the first came when I had just graduated from college with my degree in theater arts. And I was auditioning for film and television, and I got my first big break. It was a part in the daytime drama General Hospital. You all know General Hospital, right? Luke and Laura and Holly and Scorpio and moi. So there I am, my very first day as a soap opera actress, and I'm on the set. Let me just paint the picture here for you. It's a big fancy restaurant that day, and the hostess stand is over here, and the tables all have candles and flowers, and the stars are sitting here, the soap stars like Demi Moore and Finola Hughes, and there are all these extras standing by, and the lights and the cameras, and I've just come out of hair and makeup, and so the director has taken me aside to prep me because I'm the very first one to speak. I kick off the whole scene, so he's going to bring me in, and he tells me to just, after he calls action, just take a couple of beats and then come in and do my magic. So I'm getting in my process because I am a trained professional actress with a degree in theater arts from Cal State Long Beach. And I hear, quiet on set, roll tape, we're speeding, and action. I'm a little nervous. I got to remember my lines. Menu? You may hold your applause. But don't worry, it got a whole lot better than that because they wanted me back the very next day. And this time, there were some big changes because the hostess stand was over here. And action. Table for two. And that's what I call a face it moment. Because I had to face it. I had to face the fact that could well have been the height, the pinnacle of my acting career. And that was not going to be enough for me. And that's when I went behind the camera and started working on the corporate side of entertainment. And in 15 years, I'd worked at 3 different major studios. And I ended up as head of PR and corporate communications at Universal. And that's when I had another major face it moment. Because even though my job looked really great from the outside, it didn't feel so good on the inside anymore. I'd gotten so far from my dreams, I could barely remember what they were. And I started thinking about working my way down the corporate ladder. But you know, when you start thinking about change, isn't that when the universe kind of throws you that curveball? Mine came in the form of a promotion working for a media legend, a guy named Barry Diller, who'd started the Fox network, and he had bought this big chunk of Universal, and he was starting this whole new company around it, and I was being courted for this senior PR position, which would have taken me another rung or two up that ladder. I was no longer so sure I wanted to climb, but wheels were in motion, and good girl that I was, I just went along with the program, which meant having my corporate headshot, my mug shot taken for the daily trade papers, Daily Variety, Hollywood Reporter, in case they announced that promotion. And a couple days went by, and I'm not thinking about that anymore. I'm back in my office, and I noticed there's this big envelope from the photographer on my desk. Now, typically, it should have gone to the photo department, and they would have signed off, sent it on to the retoucher, but here it was on my desk, so I just ripped it open and pulled out this 8x10 black and white proof of my headshot with every flaw on my face circled in red grease pencil. And then there were these great big red arrows out into the margin with all these notes about how to fix my flaws. You know, brush out the worry lines around the mouth, get rid of the dark circles, whiten the red eyes, brighten the dull teeth, get rid of the gray hair. Didn't say anything about the extra 25 pounds I was carrying at the time, but I'd have been very happy for them to Photoshop those away. But I sat there at my desk, staring at that photo, trying not to cry, thinking, I'm not fooling anyone but me. And if I don't face it, I'm going to be this frumpy, stressed out, miserable woman working in the wrong job for another 15 years. But I still have my meeting with Mr. Diller all set up, so I dutifully flew off to New York, where I met with him in his big office overlooking Central Park. And he offered me the position, and I asked if I could think about it, and he said, of course. So there I was, all alone in Manhattan, with this huge decision just weighing on me, one that would change not just the course of my career, but the course of my life. So I did what I think anybody in that situation would do. I went shopping, Bergdorf, Lord & Taylor, Bloomie's, the whole works, and when 5 o'clock rolled around, I went back and told Mr. Diller that it was a great job, just not for me. And I flew back to LA feeling more liberated than I had in years because I had faced it and survived. So what is it that you need to face? What's stressing you out? What's keeping you up at night, putting those extra pounds on you? Maybe it's that you don't know how to navigate the corporate politics in your office, and you know it's keeping you from that promotion that you want. Maybe it's just that you need some better communication skills because you just can't understand why no one can follow your crystal clear directions. Maybe you just need to learn to take a risk, to speak up at meetings, to find a mentor. Whatever it is, once you identify that it that's holding you back, then you can take that first step towards moving forward. Now, I want to take a look at the handout that's in your book. I want everybody to pull that out right now, because I'm going to ask you to assess yourself in 10 key areas of your career. Everybody's got that? One with the little boxes on it. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to walk you through my specific definitions of each of these categories, but you'll definitely get the idea. So I want you to assess yourself not on how perfect you are, but on how satisfied you are in these 10 areas, 1 being least satisfied, 10 being most. Okay, and then write that number in the box there. Communication skills, 1 to 10. Creativity and innovation. Positive risk-taking. Stress management. Work-life balance. Compassion and caring. Mentoring others. Support building. leadership qualities, action and accountability. And that last one, without that, everything else is just an intellectual exercise. Okay, now that you've assessed yourself in these 10 key areas, I want you to think about your top professional goal. And of course, this can also apply to your personal life. But right now, think about that goal. Maybe it's getting that promotion or getting a raise. Maybe it's finishing your MBA. Don't write it down yet. And by the way, this is not a goal-setting speech. I just want to give you my litmus test for setting goals that stick, because frankly, I think most people do it wrong. Otherwise, we'd all be getting what we want, wouldn't we? So ask yourself this. Is your goal something that you're truly passionate about? Is it something that's within your power to accomplish? Can you measure your success? And if you've answered yes, yes, and yes, write down that professional goal. If not, reframe it or cross it out and come up with something else. Now I want you to think about the it that is holding you back. Whether it's a lack of confidence, maybe you need more support or resources, or maybe you just need some better time management skills. Whatever that it is, I want you to write that down right now, because that's the first step to really making a difference so that you can get past your old patterns. So now we've looked at your top professional goal. You've put a name on that it, on your it that's holding you back. And I've introduced you to this concept of face it, deal with it, and get over it. So now I want to jump to the third part of that process, about how you get over it. And I'm going to tell you about somebody who really got over it. And this was my first assistant, Beth, after I'd made vice president at Sony. And I was new to senior management back then, and I took everything very seriously. In the entertainment industry, when you take things too seriously, the big joke is, it's not the cure for cancer. Till one day, I needed that cure for cancer. Because Beth came into my office and shut the door and told me that she had just been diagnosed with a rare and very aggressive form of cancer, but that she wanted to work for as long as she could. Now, she wasn't in denial. She knew exactly what she was up against, but she said working would give her a sense of purpose. And that young woman came to work every single day that she had the strength to get out of bed, and she would work until 6 o'clock, go home, rest up, and come back and do it all over again the next day. She had to stay home when she lost one breast and then the other, but as soon as the doctor gave her the okay, she was right back at work. And she discovered this well of strength that she didn't even know she had. And she discovered how truly loved she was. Because in what still stands as the proudest accomplishment of my entire corporate career, I watched my team rally around this woman, this girl, and pick up the slack at work, help take care of her at home. And the best part was, she got over it. She got over it. Today she's healthy, happy. She just got married. She's an executive at the LA Philharmonic. But this isn't a story about Beth's cancer. This is a story about making a choice, about choosing to face it and deal with it with strength and dignity. So what's your cancer? What's eating at you? And when are you going to get over it? Because once you make that decision to face it and deal with it and get over it, that's when you can move on to really creating some new habits to get on with it. And now I want to wrap all this together and talk about how you get on with it. And that's where action and accountability come into play. And I want you to try a very simple action tool, because my goal is always to get you to change your perspective and take some action. So here's what I want you to do. But first I got to tell you, I'm a realist, and I work with a lot of groups. So I know that when people are asked to change their behavior, according to statistics, about 10% will say they'll react with what I call the INR, the immediate negative response. 50% will say, yeah, I'll give that a try. And the second they walk out the door, it's gone. Their choice. Another 20% statistically will say, I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that new step. And they'll mean it. And they'll actually take a step or two. And then as soon as they get home, they get bored, frustrated, or their TiVo viewing schedule catches up with them and they don't do a thing. Again, their choice. But 10% of you, according to statistics, will say, I'll try that. I'll take that step. And then you'll keep on taking it until you reach your goals. So my challenge for you right now is I want you all to be part of that 10%. And in fact, I want the 10% to become 100%. So if you're willing to take this very simple step, just stand up. Just stand up right now. Those of you who are the bold risk takers of the room, apparently there's only one of you who's a risk taker of the room. Well, here's what I want you to do. I want you just to take that sheet, that handout, rip off the top page. That's for 5-star. Rip off the bottom page. That's for you to keep. Now I want everybody from your seat to just find a partner. Just hook up with somebody. Wink, wave, nod, smile, do whatever. So you've all got a partner there in the room. Got it? This is a bold risk-taking group. Okay, and now what I want you to do is just swap papers with someone. Just swap that yellow sheet with anybody in the room. That's your action step. Just swap with the person behind you. All right, and I'll tell you what you've committed to. Now that you've swapped your papers, you have met your accountability buddy, your partner, and you've committed to call each other one time for an accountability check-in. You know each other's goal. You know each other's it. Now, help identify the action steps so you can drag each other, which might be an appropriate metaphor for this group, drag each other to the finish line. I guarantee you, if you take the action steps, you'll get the results. Now, I'm going to just wrap up here with a final quote from that famed philosopher, Mae West, who said, "An ounce of performance is worth a pound of promise." And I hope that my performance delivered on its promise. But more important, I hope the promise that you made to yourself becomes the beginning of your life's Academy Award-winning performance. So as they say in Hollywood, break a leg. Thank you.